we're going to go through the rest of the questions that I got asked in my interview. Why is respect important in surgery? And I mean, I had no idea an answer for this question at the time. I just literally made it up on the spot. You know, even if you don't have a specific answer, you need to be able to think on the spot and adapt to the situation. Adaptable. The main thing I said for this question was that respect revolves around listening and hearing other people's points of view. If you don't respect someone, then you don't listen to them, you can't work with them, and you can't collaborate and cooperate together. I think I commented on the traditional hierarchical approach pretty much that surgery is known for. And there's this very top-down approach to the way surgery works and how they interact with different people around the hospital. And I think that is important to a degree in the hospital setting. Everyone can't be the same level. You need to have a stepwise framework to escalate certain situations or to reach different people. And not everyone should be doing the same jobs. So I agree in that field. But when that starts to transition over to the way you treat people and how you interact with different people, that evolves into really toxic, patronizing behaviors, then, I mean, who wants that? Nobody wants to have that and to go to work and be treated like that. So, why is respect important in surgery? Well, I mean, respect is important in not only surgery, but every single field in medicine. And the main things that I tried to hit on was, if you don't respect, you don't listen to people. If you can't listen to people, you can't work with them, you can't hear their ideas and cooperate and collaborate with them. If you can't respect someone, then you're not going to be very well liked in the workplace, and people are not going to want to work with you and not going to want to employ you. Next, what are the teaching opportunities at the hospital? This one threw me a little bit. I didn't really prepare a structured answer, but I actually think I adapted and thought on my feet pretty well.
I usually can think quick on my feet.
And I think the main two areas you can break up this question is, what are the structured allocated teaching times that the hospital gives you? But then what are the unallocated times or the unspecified teaching that the hospital provides? We have it on a Friday where we have a lecture or a tutorial given to us by one of the specialties, and that sort of lasts an hour or so. Outside that, we have a couple of hours on the Friday afternoon where we can practice our surgical skills.
There's a model you can practice on in the skills lab.
In a little workshop and get help from the senior doctors, etc. But then what I really talked about was, apart from that aspect, every single day is literally an opportunity to learn and get taught. There's a bird there. I think that's a really important part of the answer, is that if you are not learning on the job every single day and working to improve yourself and to level up, learn these skills, apply new concepts, and really get good at your practice, then what's the point? Because 1 hour, a couple hours a week in these allocated teaching times is not going to make you a better doctor. You need to do this for hundreds and hundreds of hours in order to level up to the point where you need to be. So yeah, that's the main thing that you need to say with all this, is that you need to learn on the job and adapt and make the most of every clinical situation as a learning opportunity. And if you already know and understand whatever you're doing, whether it be how to treat a certain condition or how to perform a simple procedure, use that opportunity to teach someone else. And that really, when you teach someone else that skill, that actually becomes a learning opportunity for you, because now you have to explain that concept, explain that little technique to someone else. And the process of actually clarifying that information that you know and conveying that to someone else, that's the best learning opportunity, because now that concept, that idea becomes so clear in your mind that you can explain it to anyone. At the end of the interview, they usually give you an opportunity to ask the interviewer a question. And that is an absolute golden opportunity for you to impress and show your personality to the person who's doing the interview. The main things you sort of want to have prepared is a specific follow-up questions about the job itself. So I was applying for 2 different roles. One of the roles is a bit more senior. It's like an unaccredited registrar position, which sort of just means that you're applying for a job to work as a senior doctor, but you're not on the training program for that specialty. Yeah, for that job, I was more interested in the structure of the job itself. What were my hours going to be like on call? What exposure was I going to get to major and minor operations? And what was the sort of responsibility and structure of the team? Did I have a resident? Did I have an intern? Who are my other colleagues that work with me? When you want to learn more about the team structure, that almost shows that you're a team-orientated person, because it's not like, oh, what do I get to do all the time? It's, well, who am I working with, and how can we maximize the efficiency of that team?
Go team.
And I think when you ask these questions, it just indirectly shows to the interviewer that you're invested in the team approach. The other things that I inquired about, like, revolved around the future for the hospital. I wanted to learn more about any particular updates or advancements that the hospital was going to undertake for the next coming years, or for the next year in particular, and how that would affect me. So the one that I'm currently at now, we're actually building a new hospital which will be open in a couple years, and I was inquiring about what sort of specific things would be at that new hospital that aren't at the current one, and how we would work towards, you know, transitioning over across to that. I also inquired about any particular updates for the field of surgery as a whole, and I actually also posed the question, because I just came off my nights rotation recently before the interview, and I thought that the job that I was doing on general surgery nights could be done by an intern, and would actually benefit an intern like massively. I think the exposure to those patients overnight in a surgical context would be hugely important for the growth of that first year doctor. And I think, like, it was nice to have a dynamic discussion with a person in the position of power and a senior clinician, and then a person working on the ground doing the job, me, a junior doctor. To have that discussion about jobs and the work environment and the particular roles and responsibilities that junior doctors undertake, I think that's really important. That shows that you're not only thinking about yourself and the job that you're doing, but, well, what about my job that I did for the person next year and the year after that, and how can that improve? So that shows the quality of, like, being future orientated and really thinking about the broader picture, you know, just zoom in and then zoom out with the microscope. And when you can show those layers, as I said in the last video, those qualities really come through and show to that person who's asking you questions that, oh, you can actually pick up this object and it's not 2-dimensional, it becomes 3 and 4-dimensional, and you can really think about things in different ways. One of the people that interviewed me, I asked them, what are the main things that you're looking for in a person who's wanting to apply for this position? And I mean, I don't know, that's an actual cheat code in an interview, I think, because you have to literally just echo whatever they say, and that gets you, like, the job. Honestly, like, they actually give you the answer. You ask them, hey, what do you want from a person who's applying for this job? And they say, I think their answer was, oh, we want someone who knows their limits, we want someone who can work independently and escalate for senior help when they need. They said, oh, that's the most important quality in this job. It's relatively junior and people should be able to do it, but it's when they step outside their boundaries that maybe that can be a little bit dangerous. And then my response was like, oh, of course. And then I had a story where someone told me in my first year, the only time you get into trouble is when you do stuff outside the realms of what you're supposed to, or you work outside your responsibilities. I totally agree. That's what I literally plan to do if I get the job. And I think that's one of the most important qualities, to be able to escalate and know your limits, because that's when, you know, the least amount of complications and dangerous things happen in medicine. So we're going to go on to part 4. Oh yeah, part 4 is actually going to be about what you do after the interview, what you can do if you don't get the job. And by the way, if you haven't seen the first part of the series, I go through how I prepared for my job interviews as a doctor. The last video was the first couple of questions that I got asked during my interview, how I answered them, and what sort of ideas you sort of want to get across so that you can get hired for the job, because that's all you really care about. You don't want to listen to me, you just want to know what you can say, which is so fun. I really vibe with that.